Narcotic, it's basically no medical value. Now, the way I pick apart this argument is the FDA, Casey, you mentioned earlier, already has a patent. True. Excuse me. The FDA already has a patent. There's already a program for medical marijuana for 4 patients, the compassionate, the Comp IND program, or now we call it the Compassionate Use Program. They've updated their title. Yeah. So 4 people already get marijuana for medical purposes in America, but yet and still you'll see even the FDA will deny it. But the DEA continues to say, no, we will enforce the laws in America for marijuana, which is that it's illegal, and it's a Schedule I narcotic that has no medical value. Ultimately, the government has a problem with their own logic. They're speaking against themselves, not against us, the vets and the patients, or the businessmen, because I've tried to say that while we have people in prisons, like these are future farmers. These are future, doctors,
entrepreneurs, distributors,
exactly,
shipping executives,
and
IT executives, accounting executives.
Just for our fans out there in the audience, these are the future movers and shakers of society that could be evolving with the times in terms of what resources they sell, what they produce, and just in terms of talking agriculture in general. I mean, hemp and cannabis is above it all. So the moment we legalize, it's like whoever's been invested in that in that industry is basically going to be leading the pack in terms of how this. I mean, we wouldn't be talking about debt in America if cannabis was legal. I don't know if the roundtable agrees.
I definitely agree with that. I think there are way too many millennials like myself and like.
But then again, like even when I have to budget my account, like I talk about or budget my finances, I have to say, well, weed is medicine. It's not a hobby, to consume. It's the fact that, well, yeah, I can make the case that I'm a patient and it's the truth, but at the same time, the struggle of having to we have to associate, and I mean, I don't have a problem with the black market, but we have to associate our medicine with the black market. Feel that presence of the police on our shoulders the moment that what I mean, just that belief that any moment the door could be busted down and SWAT could fly in. We don't think it'll happen, but the fact that we feel that shiver.
And to that point, no one should feel that way. That's what this place is supposed to be about, freedom. That's why people come here to this country. Liberty. Liberty. And for everyone. And what we need to realize is when you have a tool that you've used like that to unequally harm a particular group of people or just consumers, military vets, it's right now it's derogatory for you as well. You're a minority in that sense that they don't want you to have it. And people, we have other things on the market legally that have no medical values. Like what people don't understand, the prohibition of alcohol wasn't to give you a safe alcohol option. It was to take it from the mobsters and to get rid of the black market. If you really truly want to address a drug problem, you bring it to light. And you bring it out and you handle that issue as a public service thing, and you change your programs. Instead of criminalizing people, you create programs to rehabilitate people.
One thing I want to say, Casey.
So with what you do is, instead of incriminating them and making a system where they're set up to feel like we mentioned earlier, you may not, if you have a criminal background, may not be able to get an apartment, may not be able to get a job, may not be able to get apply for student loans. So you're creating a problem to be repetitive.
There is a racial element. We did leave off from that. There's a racial element to this, and we need to accept that and identify that. Yes, marijuana is attached to racism. If we admit the fact that the first drug czar was a racist and had a perspective on marijuana just from the people that he saw using it, he mainly saw poor black men using it. And why were they poor? After the Emancipation Proclamation, they didn't have any jobs. They had to go back to the slave master and just get a minimum wage. that doesn't need to be ignored when we talk about. And I think if we just in shouting out to our audience, I don't think we need to ignore the racial stigma that is attached to marijuana, because I think that is what will help us get past whether we should legalize or decriminalize. If we can just get past those social elements, again, I don't know if you agree, I just feel like that's what's going to help the Band-Aid come off a little slower. It's just, and then Steve, I really definitely want to get your opinion on it. I just can't stand the fact that we look at the economy and we shrug our shoulders and we close our eyes in shame, but it's like, here is a recession-proof product that God gave us.
God's
cannabis,
right?
And
a renewable resource.
And instead of investing money into our economy to expand on this resource, we invest money into not just law enforcement but private security to get rid of it.
Well, to me, you would never outlaw anything that isn't valuable. Everything that has been some form of laws have been regulated. Think about it, slavery. It was legal at one time, then you had to outlaw it. So there's value in it, valuable in people, in resources. And obviously, with them having a patent on it several years ago, they see the value of it. But like you said, God gave it to us, and that's, to me, whatever your God is. You believe in who you believe in, but there is a higher being that put that there, and plentiful. And that's the thing that's scary to everybody, is it's plentiful and it's how it's giving in restoring people's lives and allowing them to get out of the house and do things and be social again. Because that's what people don't understand about Colorado. It has evolved a community. There are people outside doing things.
And we need to also remember, like, it isn't just about the medical side. It's also about, if we're talking about full recreational
industrial manufacturing side,
there's also the hemp side.
Yeah, big time.
There's hempcrete, there's hemp plastic, there's hemp oil. Like
all of that felonies, by the way.
I want to give a shout out to Chelsea DeVos of Cherry the Apothecary. I've been using the hemp oil lotion. No breakouts. My face is normal, and yeah. So shout out to the Cherry Apothecary, because those products come from CBD and hemp oil and whatnot. If we would just expand on the narrative of what can we do to make more money off of using these resources, instead of what can we do to get rid of them?
Yeah, I agree with that. Like you said, with the industrial hemp, with it being a renewable resource, we can save trees and save the ecosystem. There's so many valuable options out there. To me, I've always been being a science guy, is why wouldn't you want to study it more? Everything else, we talk about landing on the moon and doing all these great, wonderful things as a country, and creating blood transfusions and doing all these wonderful things. To me, why wouldn't you take this as an opportunity to explore this and see where we can evolve this world, and come up with the cure to cancer or AIDS, or do something, do something big for the people,
Well, and then just focus on also the market. See, businessmen and, like corporate America, they only talk money. The pharmaceutical industry, they only talk money. When you put the numbers for marijuana up against the numbers for pills and whatnot, you can't argue with the production. It's just easier to produce cannabis than it is to grow poppy seeds,
yeah, exactly.
which house methadone or meth, and all the dangerous, the ones
exactly.
that screw you up. But like overall, I just can't. And I mentioned it at the DFW Normal March, Steve, that will, even legalizing marijuana for medical purposes, how will it help the economy? Well, there's going to be a farmer that's sanctioned by either the Fed or the state government to grow this marijuana. And anybody that doesn't believe that a farmer is a businessman like any other businessman out there is well, you're smoking the wrong strain, because they're not just going to be working for the government, they're going to be working for the community. The black market will find its way to that pot farm.